So Steve has been a pretty controversial character ever since he was announced as a playable character in Ultimate. There are a lot of people who were incredibly happy to see him announced because he was their most wanted character, while others absolutely hated his inclusion in the series. Regardless of what you think of him, he turned a lot of heads, and competitively is no exception. There has been an increase of players who are now using Steve and getting significantly better results than they previously did without him. It's gotten a lot of players talking about how overpowered Steve is, and others even wanting to ban him. 2 days ago, a player by the name of D-Dog double eliminated Tweak from a regional event using Steve. In case you don't know, Tweak is currently a top 3 player in the world competitively, and D-Dog is a relatively unknown player. This stirred up even more talk regarding Steve and banning him, and yesterday, a region in Lafayette, Louisiana is, to my knowledge, the first to actually go through with banning the character. Now, this isn't the first time a character has been banned competitively in Smash. In Smash 4, the country of Spain banned Bayonetta for a period of time, and in Brawl, Meta Knight was also banned for a brief period. What I think makes this ban more interesting is the intention behind it. I had the pleasure to talk with Zie, who is a player and TO from the Lafayette region, to get their reasoning behind banning Steve, which I will show you now. Alright, so I am here with Zie, who is he is ranked number 1 in Louisiana, and he is also from the Lafayette region, which is the region who has decided to ban Steve. So I wanted to talk to him and ask him why did Lafayette decide to ban Steve, if you know, and then what is your opinion on the Steve ban?
We are banning Steve for a 2-week period, and so our main reason, we know that we don't have any Steve players that attend our events, so we know that we're not like condemning any Steve players, but we know there's been like a popular topic on Twitter. We kind of want to get a discussion going, and I know a lot of times when it comes to like banning a character, it's always like, oh, we should ban them, but nothing ever gets done, like like with Hero or characters like that, or Bayo in Smash 4. And we thought this was like the least harmful way to like take action while also like getting a discussion going, because like we didn't have Steve players come into our tournaments. There's no Steve players that are trying to sign up that can't sign up or anything like that, so we just thought this was like a pretty easy way to get things started.
Okay, so that makes sense. So basically what you're saying is, there's no one from your region that like plays Steve, or at least if they do, they don't play them seriously enough to where it would heavily impact them results-wise. Yeah, so you wanted to kind of get a discussion started, which I mean, you definitely have. I've been checking Twitter, and there are a lot of people talking about banning Steve. So I mean, yeah, the goal, the goal has been accomplished. You definitely got a discussion going.
Yeah, like I'm like friends with Yanni, and so I saw he was streaming, and I figured like he'd be talking about it, and he was like saying his piece on it, and I just think like it's good to like see different people's perspectives on it. But I definitely want the conversation, in LaffySmash, we want the conversation to be geared towards like characters. Like I know what's been going on with the whole like D-Dog beating Tweak situation, but like obviously this has nothing to do with any players, whatever. It's literally just like people are complaining about Steve, and so we want to see how people would respond to some sort of action being taken. But yeah, this is purely based on character.
Okay, so the D-Dog Tweak upset had nothing to do with this, because it seemed very like it came at a very convenient time.
So it's not that it had nothing to do with it. It's more so that like the D-Dog Tweak situation led to the discussion about the character getting banned, which led to this action being taken. If something else would have spurred all this like talk about Steve getting banned, then this could have happened regardless. But yeah, I mean, I guess like in an indirect way, it is kind of caused by the whole D-Dog Tweak thing, but it has nothing directly to do with like a good player like D-Dog.
Yeah, I guess like an easier way to put it is that like this is basically like the straw that broke the camel's back on this discussion.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. When I went to Yanni's stream, he was saying that like how this kind of stuff is like kind of affecting players like D-Dog, and like it's kind of hard to have this type of discussion without people that are gonna like dog on like certain players and whatnot, but we're definitely trying to like have a healthier discussion, and like I said, it's only a 2-week thing that's not gonna affect anyone, so we're definitely not trying to like prevent people from playing the game.
Okay, that makes sense. So what is your opinion on the Steve situation? Since you are from Lafayette, do you think that Steve should be banned, or do you not think he should be banned?
So, outside of the context of our specific little, microcosm within Lafayette, I definitely do not think Steve should be banned. Or Steve, yeah, he's he's pretty degenerate, whatever, but he's not the best character in the game, and there's no character in Ultimate that I think is broken enough that warrants a ban. Whether or not you think Steve is like a lame character, that's to be seen, whatever. But no, I definitely don't think he's ban worthy. This is mostly just like a discussion, like talking point thing. But no, I think Steve is fine. People just need to learn the matchup, and especially after like. So I heard about D-Dog beating Twig, but I didn't like watch it. But then after watching the clip on Twitter of D-Dog standing behind the wall that he built and Twig just like literally just sitting there letting him mine, I'm like, yeah, this is just a matchup thing. This has nothing to do with Steve.
Yeah, I wonder what happened in the... Because I haven't seen the set. I was actually like planning on looking for it because I know that he got double eliminated by him.
Right, double 2-0 too, like no games. And he went... So he went Diddy in the first set, and so everyone on Twitter was like, oh my god, why don't you just play Sephiroth? That matchup's literally impossible. Da-da-da-da-da. And then he goes Sephiroth, who, granted, he hasn't really been playing Sephiroth, but it's still tweaked. He goes Sephiroth in the loser's set, and he still gets 2-0'd, so...
Yeah, that shut down that argument. But yeah, I definitely agree with you. I mean, at the moment, I don't think that Steve should be banned. I will say that your way of starting a discussion was very interesting. It's definitely something that I wouldn't have expected a lot of people to do in order to get the ball rolling, but I definitely appreciate what you did because, again, you guys got a lot of people talking about it.
Yeah, I definitely think, because, people were indirectly saying things about Steve and after the whole D-Dog thing, like, oh, Steve should be banned or whatever, but people that want, or people that say they want Steve banned don't more often than not, when they say something like that, they don't actually want it to happen. They're just kind of shock, going for shock value or reaction. Yeah. But this is an actual action being taken, and so there could be people that say, oh, I want Steve banned, and then they see Steve get banned and they're like, actually, I don't want this to happen. So it's just interesting to see how people if people fold or people double down on their opinions or anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, well, we'll see what happens because, like it or not, you guys, Lafayette started something that could potentially lead to more regions banning Steve. It could also show that people firmly do not want the character banned.
Right, exactly. I think that's the main thing is there will be a better consensus after this whole discussion is had.
Yeah, I agree. Well, Zie, thank you again for, hopping on. This was very short notice, so I deeply appreciate it. Yeah, so I mean, since I'm gonna be posting this on YouTube, do you have any social media that you want people to follow you on or anything like that?
Sure, you can follow me on Twitter. I believe as Zie_SSB. And also, please, I know LaffySmash might be doing something a little controversial, but it is a very good scene, a very good stream. As LaffySmash on Twitter. So yeah, definitely keep an eye on us. I don't think we had many tournaments that were super organized pre-quarantine, but post-quarantine we've been really trying to up the stream production. So we've been really keeping at that. So please keep an eye on us.
Yeah, and if you're from the region, check them out. I mean, if you're a Steve main, maybe check them out in 2 weeks. Yeah. But yeah, thank you again for hopping on. And there you have it. Lafayette has banned Steve from tournaments for 2 weeks in order to jumpstart a serious discussion as to whether or not the character should be banned. Honestly, their plan worked. It got more people to talk about it online, and I'm making a video about it. Personally, I don't think Steve should be banned considering I don't even think he's the best character in the game at the moment, nor do I think the character does anything super game breaking. It might be frustrating and annoying for some people to deal with, but not game breaking. Of course, the character has a lot of potential, and his meta is still relatively young compared to the majority of the cast, so things may change. And I feel like I have to say this, but it's fine to hate on the character, but please do not bring that hate to the player for using the character. But yeah, that's going to be it for the video. Comment down below if you think Steve should be banned or not banned, and why. Also, don't forget to like the video if you enjoyed it, and to subscribe if you enjoy my content. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.